Sup? Welcome to Tales to Morrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me have some more RPG horror stories. If you are dealing with a lot of heat right now, as it's entering late spring and everything, and gonna be entering summer, drink a lot of water and keep yourself nice and cool. I'm gonna be dealing with some terrible heat pretty much myself as well, so I'm very glad that I'm standing under a ceiling fan while recording the videos because, oh my god, it's gonna get so hot later on. Anyway, let's get some RPG horror stories for today. That guy uses pop science to justify PDF file format. So I know the title's a little bit like out of nowhere, but apparently according to replies in a post, this seems like a first fake story or something like that. Like if a story that's basically too good to be true and whatever. The account is suspended, like actually straight up the account is suspended, but it seems like a lot of people in the replies are saying this sounds extremely fake and too good to be true. So let's give it a read. Oh boy, where do I begin? The campaign is still going on, albeit without the aforementioned creep. Thankfully, we didn't get too far before this guy revealed himself. For the purposes of this post, I'll call him Creep. He's 22 years old, this will be relevant, and he played as an 18-year-old human barbarian. The other relevant players are DM and his girlfriend, Bugbear Warlock, and me, Half-Elf Rogue. We started off in the main hub city of the campaign, which was full of pretty much all D&D races and classes. Before we even got to the first quest, he was asking about where the orphanage was. Kinda weird, but we figured it was a backstory thing. We got our first quest and completed it by defeating a mountain troll. When we got to level up. Once we got back to the city, the DM introduced his DMPC, an 11-year-old girl who was secretly related to the exiled prince. It was our job to protect her from the prince's enemies. Why does your DM have an 11-year-old NPC that they're putting into the story? A little bit too weird of a setup, yeah. A really weird of a setup. I think your DM is the problem here from the story, from the way the story is put down. Well, when on the road, he started flirting with her, and then when called out, he said, "I'm just being nice. You guys just have dirty minds." Flirting with an 11-year-old, yeah, the other rest of the party has dirty minds. Huh? Well, fast forward 2 sessions and we make it to a dark cave and get separated. Barbarian finds the child and tells her that there is no one here to stop us, and whips out his peen. Do I continue reading this? I mean, if it's a fake story and stuff, assuming it's a fake story, do I even continue reading this? Is this worth reading? DM just looks at him and says, "What the frick are you doing, bro?" Yeah, and he says, "Getting some pussy. It's dark so the party can't see us. It's just what my character would do in this situation." Why? Hold on. Did the DM okay having a PDF file character being made? Huh? What? DM reminds him of her age and he says, "My character doesn't give a frick. He is in love." Ew. DM says, "You really want to be a freaking PDF file? This is going to be your character for a good long while, and I doubt the party wants to deal with a PDF file." His girlfriend and then said, "Yeah, when my warlock finds out, she will 100% kill you." He then says, "Oh, come the frick on, it's just a game. Besides, he isn't even really a PDF file, he's just a kid himself. Young and horny. Did you know the brain doesn't finish developing until 25? What the f am I reading? Yeah, this must be fake. Jesus fucking Christ. Every person that we read that has some sort of like a PDF file formats about themselves, they use just some sort of way to cover up the bullshit that they're doing. But this is just... was this written in ChatGPT? Jesus Christ. Everything is way too convenient. Yeah, I wanted to vomit after hearing that. DM's girlfriend looks at DM and says, "Let me kill him now." DM agrees and says the cave suddenly lights up and the entire party sees what he's about to do. We're all ready. The whole party rains down every spell, range and melee attack they can and kill him in less than 2 turns. As he tries to flee, and we all get opportunity attacks and kill him. And then everybody clapped, and the cave clapped, and the light clapped, and the darkness clapped, and the blades of grass outside of the cave clapped, and every single pebble clapped. Yeah, I can see why this is flagged as fake story by everybody in the replies. Everything is way too convenient. He then says, "Well, I guess I'm dead now." Obviously butthurt about it. "You know, that really was a dick move," I tell him. "You shouldn't have rolled up a PDF file then." He then starts raging at all of us and trying to argue that he somehow wasn't a PDF file. DM then said, "Somebody to check your hard drives." He snaps at DM and calls him a simp and a beta male for listening to his girlfriend, and then implies that she had a train ran through her. DM then just says, alright, I freaking had enough. Get the hell out of my house right now. We'll parentheses, we're all playing at DM's house. He then stormed out, and that was that. Yeah, okay, yeah, everything about this just seems way too conveniently resolved immediately. It just rushes directly into the conflict just to immediately have that payoff and stuff. If there's a chance that it's true, Jesus Christ, I hope somebody does check the guy's hard drives, but I'm inclined not to believe anything that I just read. I mean, yeah, there's always a chance that a lot of these RPG horror stories aren't actually written about real life events, and a lot of it's either over embellished or even, hell, made up. But out of all the ones that I've read, none of them just end so conveniently in such a perfect bowstring and stuff as this. There's usually some sort of insane complications, and a lot of nuance to things, a lot of side stuff. Nothing is just as blatant as that. You know, I do have a bunch of short stories that I've kind of collected as well. Let's go get to those so we can kind of cleanse the brain rot out of our heads together. Sound good? Sound good. Let's get to the next stories. Player questions what I would not want to see in game. This is not as horrible as other posts here, but it really threw me for a loop, so here it is. Context: I play with two guys I know from school and their friend. Me and the player in question are not really friends. We don't have anything to talk about when I try to talk to him, but we are very friendly. Although they say weird stuff sometimes, it's mostly fun. DM is great. So in today's game, our party completed a quest for a rich guy who promises 5,000 gold at 2nd level. When we went to sleep at his mansion, we woke up in coffins, presumably buried alive. And that was a cliffhanger for the next session. It made me reasonably uncomfortable, so I jokingly said that this is why we need to have session 0. DM quickly said that I should text him what I don't want to see in game. I said that I don't mind what he did now, but I said that I can tell him right now what I never want to see, and that is SA. Player in question says something about along the lines of, oh come on, why? And jokingly something like, it's no fun. When I asked if he really was asking me this, he said he liked dark humor and basically that it was not a big deal. Maybe to him, but that's not gonna be applying for everybody. People have their do's and don'ts, people have their limits, and it's perfectly valid to have your limits. I feel like some of the stuff you could probably cover as long as it's not covered in extreme detail, but at least the notion of it, I guess, existing might be okay. As long as everybody's okay with that. Everybody's cool with just not going in extreme detail, that's fine. But if someone's complete nose towards SA, I feel like that's a reasonable one to ask for. But to mock somebody for not wanting to have SA in the game or not enjoying that specific dark humor, there's nothing wrong with that. What the f is this guy on about? How is SA dark humor? I understand humor, but it was not about jokes. It was said in a serious tone, while in the discussion about what I seriously don't want to see ever in the game. What shook me is that he said anything in response to what I said in a specific situation. I can ignore almost every comment someone makes, but this takes the cake. Throwback to the last session where we encountered goblins and he said, good thing we don't have any women. I was like, why? Goblins love human women. And they laughed. I mean, it's not written in the master manual, and after looking for this crap specifically, found something online, as I understand not even D&D related, and still, what is there to laugh at? As a conclusion, they're not smart people, I guess. This is exactly why I, as a female, play a male character to avoid this, at least in this made-up world. Yeah, don't make goblins say you're like pariah for how your world should be run. I mean, yeah, you have some elements of things that you're interested in, and yeah, it's fine to have something grim dark, as long as everybody at the start of the session understands that this setting is going to be grim dark, and the stories that are going to be told are going to be on a more grim dark scale, and even then it's probably going to be more appropriate to at least let the players know what kind of settings they're going to encounter in this grim dark fantasy world, game, whatever you're running. OP, you're allowed to play whatever you want, plays guy characters, girl characters, whatever, and amorphous ooze as well. Plasmoids are perfectly valid as well. But yeah, if you're stuck in this game and you're not enjoying yourself, I would leave. I'd find a different table. I'd find a different table with better people than this, because this doesn't look like fun for you, honestly. So bad it blew up a friendship. This is about a decade ago. We started playing a campaign of Traveler. It has been so long I had to go look up the name of the system, and we had made characters and had fun first session. It was a group of 6, the DM and 5 players, including me. 4 of whom were colleagues, and the 5th was a DM from a D&D campaign we were also playing at the time. I think it was session 2 or 3 when we found ourselves with a crashed alien spaceship with a ludicrous technology level. Neat. We figured we would learn to use it or sell it for a large fortune, But then the army showed up and it was quite clear that Chip was meant as a story hook and not an actual thing we would get. So there's a little bit of bickering between players and the army outside, and three of us see the writing on the wall and come out peacefully. And then it all went to crap. The remaining two players decide to make that freaking ship their Alamo, ready to defend it to the death. The DM clearly struggled and kept trying to persuade the players to surrender peacefully, but they would have none of it. This went on for 3 hours with the DM trying to desperately not to kill the two players. If they decide to do this for 3 hours holding up the game, I mean at this point just might as well just let them. If they really want it, just be like, listen, you either come out or your characters die. One or the other can happen. And just that. For 3 hours though arguing over that, it's kind of absurd. At this point the DM is just exasperated and the two other players and I are bored out of our skulls. So I finally say to the DM, just kill them already. This seems to be the prod the DM needed, and the two players in the ship were fragged with a grenade or something. Oh, this was pretty bad, but then one of the players had the gall to say, you didn't even give us a chance. Even the DM's partner, who was playing and who I thought to be congenitally incapable of feeling anger, got really mad. There was shouting and the two players were kicked out of the DM's home. Window spoke to non-colleague player again, and not much to the colleague either. Didn't give him a chance. Yeah, right, it was argued for 3 hours, and finally somebody just kill him already and just finish it off. 3 hours of this nonsense just to finally end it. Good lord. Yeah, those guys weren't a good fit for the party whatsoever, in the slightest. Anyway, more stories for today. We got a bunch more. Short, but pretty good ones. I'm starting to think I'm becoming a problem player. So, one of my buddies is building a world for a D&D campaign. I wanted to get into D&D for the first time, offered the second that it's mentioned. The guy's been playing D&D for all of his life, we're all between young adults and late teens, and he gives me the lowdown on how D&D works and points me towards the wiki dot for more info, and I make a PC, a human fighter. It's what he recommended to me as a newbie. I look up class guides, tutorials, etc. to learn what I'm getting myself into. So after a couple of months, I'm making some outfits for my PC in Hero Forge, and I asked him what color should I use for a Tundra outfit. So I made a Tundra outfit and he said it was really good, and it's what he'd imagine what people living in the mountains would look like. So in a creative-filled splurg fueled by autism, I, without warning, permission, or even asking, made 20 Hero Forge figures in 4 hours. All of them are guards, chefs, priests, farmers, the D&D base set for armors, etc. Then I just send it all to him without warning. That's not a problem, that's called enthusiasm. I mean, yeah, there's an issue where it becomes too enthusiastic to the point where it becomes more of a chaotic element rather than helpful. But making 24 little Hero Forge things within 4 hours, I mean, you're making it for a bunch of different NPCs and stuff. If anything, I think you're just super enthusiastic and want to help get the game off the ground. At least that's what it looks to me. I don't see a problem. I think I'm becoming a problem for our DM. He messaged me this morning, we use Discord, and basically gave me the take it to a publisher treatment, but with a frick ton of grace. He loved the designs, but he had his own special designs for his NPCs, and without dropping the ball, I immediately suggested I'd make them into Hero Forge figures. He said that I was a good man, and that I didn't need to do all that for him, but I still am, mindlessly in fact. I'm making peasant hunters in Hero Forge before I snap to my senses, but I keep doing it. I was about to send him 5 more figurines before I made this post. Am I becoming a problem? I think I am. You are enthusiastic and excited to play, and there's nothing wrong with being enthusiastic. In fact, if anything, it's adorable. It's honestly really adorable and really charming that you're getting into this. Though there is a moment where if the DM asks, it's okay, it's fine, they really mean it. I mean, if you want to be helpful, you can always ask the DM, hey, so I'm like super excited. Is there anything I can do or anything I can help with to help get the game like off the ground and actually like rolling? Because having enthusiasm is one thing, but learning how to use enthusiasm in a positive way that can actually help the DM and help the entire game, that's another thing. Getting excited making different miniatures and stuff on Hero Forge, feel free to do that in your free time, that's completely fine. But I'll personally ask the DM to see if there's anything you could do to help him out if you really want to help. Maybe make your own little miniatures just for the sake of yourself and just, have a little collection in case the DM does want to have like extra ones he wants to put out, right? Maybe have a little collection for yourself if you really just want to play with Hero Forge. But otherwise, I would say just pump the brakes or chill. Enthusiasm is great and all, but it got to be used in a productive way if you really want to help. Best way to do that, ask your DM how you can help get the game off the ground, and I wish you good luck. Alright, we got one more story for today, so let's get to that for now. DM does a one-on-one session with each player during time skip. Mine goes bad. Wasn't sure if I needed the SA flair due to it just being my character, but just in case. Context: second time ever playing. Introduced via my roommate who knew the players and DM well. I knew of everyone but wasn't close to any of them. I was playing a Tempest Cleric, Firbolg worshipping Thor, and a very big tree hugger. Had a running gag that he had zero game with ladies, but he never initiated anything. Just couldn't talk to women good. Think Raj from Big Bang. Which was fine, as I didn't want to do any romance stuff. There was a session 0, romance stuff was never brought up. I didn't even think it was a thing because I find it weird personally, but to each their own. We had just finished our first arc, ended on a semi-bad note with a big bad fight. DM feeble-minded our level 4 wizard on the first round of combat. Our tank was petrified, which we had no way to cure it. We luckily found a potion in the loot to cure it. Never got a reward as we were double-crossed. Story begins when the DM suggests a one-on-one session with each player to go over what our characters did during the 1-year time skip. This is due to exams coming up and schedules getting out of whack. Me and my roommate both do hours on the same day. I sat on my roommate's session since he didn't care that much, and neither did the DM. Pretty normal stuff, found his dad, etc. Due to my character's Norse background and the fact sailing was going to become a big part of the game, I wanted my time skip story to be that I built or brought a Viking longboat. So me and the DM sat down and I started with how I want to build a longboat. He stated that it would take longer than a year, but I could buy one from a nearby pirate organization. So my character goes there and begins the process of buying a boat. Everything is normal until he introduces the pirate captain as this Amazonian woman, Captain Firebrand. Me and the DM are both the dudes, which is one of the big reasons why I didn't think romance was going to be a thing. I don't know him very well, and no one else had romance going. So he starts RPing how this Firebrand is being all flirty and feeling up my character, to which at this point I'm cringing out of my chair. So I interrupt and say this is weird, I just want to buy the boat and that'd be it. But then he offered up an idea where two have a special night and that'd be an interesting dynamic to have her get pregnant and then appear later on with a kid. Bro. Okay, this one-on-one is turning really fetishy, like extremely fetishy. Dude, it's a player character, pump the brakes DM. Good lord. I promptly tell him absolutely not and that I'll buy the boat, end of time skip. Me and my roommate never played with the DM again. Turns out this wasn't his first pregnancy thing, as one of my other players had been in one of his games a while back where a bandit essayed one of the player characters and was pregnant. Jesus Christ, this DM. Dude, these DMs, I don't get it. Like, it doesn't take much to keep your fetishes out of games, but yet this DM still did it anyway. Yeah, continue not playing with the DM. This DM sounds like they suck. Anyway, this are all the stories that I found for the day. I mean, aside from that first one, which was a horror story on its own. The rest of them seem a little bit on the shorter side, but I think nice, short, and sweet is always a good way to go. I have no complaints, and I hope you enjoyed them anyway. Alright, let's roll the outro. Outro, Morrow, where are you? And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.